West Papuans renew calls for citizenship. Electoral Commission has 6 months left to conduct by-elections. And Indonesian Ambassador says no visas needed to enter the country.
This is National EMTV News with Lorraine Genia.
Good evening, this is Thursday's news. Thank you for joining us. Today is the International Human Rights Day. It is also the 50th anniversary of 2 of 3 important universal declarations of human rights. The day's message for Papua New Guineans is to reflect on freedom, which is a foundation for development and security. Vasinata Yama reports.
This year's theme is Our Future, Our Freedoms Always. Stakeholders who attended today's event urged Papua New Guineans to know their rights. The rights for children to go to school, the rights to move freely, the rights to say or do things freely, and many more. Deputy Secretary for the Department of Justice and Attorney General, Nicodemus Mosoro, says that PNG should not be overregulated. He said more laws are created when people have failed their obligations to respect human rights.
Our citizens have a right, for example, to chew betel nut. That's a right you have. That's an example. But then you also have the obligation of making sure the boy speed and the waste are put in the right place.
Our should make ourselves aware of what we need to do in terms of treatment of offenders.
The world is currently facing a humanitarian crisis. Government officials say that Papua New Guineans are taking human rights for granted. Despite that, the government has gone ahead signing a number of international conventions on human rights. One that was launched today is the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights.
There is the Convention on the Rights of People Living with Disability and Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women.
Many nations we have taken care of the West Papuans for a very long time without this formal arrangements, and we have made them feel at home that become a part of us.
Meanwhile, international communities are fleeing their countries from terrorism, war and such. For PNG, it is mostly the fight of freedom of all forms of violence against women and children. PNG's partners have promised to support this fight.
The debate on the issues, the freedom of speech of speakers who also voice their concerns and protests.
Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
On International Human Rights Day, a community of West Papuan people living in Port Moresby are asking about their rights for recognition and justice. They are asking for the progress of a promise of citizenship in Papua New Guinea and for justice for the women and girls who are being abused.
The community called Free West Papua commemorated the day by walking to Boroko this morning from around the city. They came to the MTV studios to air their views on what the day means for them. Fred Mambrasa, coordinator of the group, says it's high time West Papuans living in PNG are given some legal recognition.
Now me talk until now status belum niem mino sawe. Oli talk long ya wane me belong refugee status long Papua New Guinea nawa. But all get a talk belong olia. Emi talk long manus tasol online oli kam lo nar pla country kam. Na oli puti molo manus na oli look out molo manus. Na mipla.
Esther Gaigaming from the PNG Immigration and Citizenship Services Authority said today during the official commemoration of Human Rights Day that the PNG government does recognize the plight of the West Papuan people.
We take it for granted that they're just like us and they're at home and they're okay. But like every person in this world, you are entitled to a home, you are entitled to some legal rights that attach itself to citizenship. And these people are vulnerable because they do not have that as they leave their home.
Ms. Gaigaming said Work started in September this year in East Awin in Kiunga, where a large population of West Papuans are living, and with a handful of families in Port Moresby. She said over 2,700 people have been interviewed. Out of this number, she expects the first batch of citizenship application to be put before the Citizen Advisory Committee as early as January 2016. While this brings some good news to West Papuans in PNG, those back home still need assistance.
Nalo Papua mi tingim or mama belum ipla or yang plamere belum ipla we kill him all, only rape him all, only make him kind no good lo all.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Still on human rights, a film highlighting gender-based violence was launched in Port Moresby last night. Senisim Pasin, the title itself, calls for a change in attitude towards the treatment of women and girls in Papua New Guinea. The first ever big screen showing of the film attracted a lot of influential people in Port Moresby. Sarah Aupong caught up with a few of them afterwards.
It was a red carpet affair and they came dressed for it. While the audience was beautiful, what they all agreed was the standout of the night was the film itself.
It's a fantastic film. It's a great effort by the Tribal Foundation.
It's brilliant. It brings tears to your eyes.
Like John Toguata and the legendary Roger Hawofa, Northern Governor Gary Jufa was one of the stars of the film.
I think it's great. I think it shows that we need a movie industry that needs to start promoting a lot of these important messages.
Yeah, I hope it will go a long way to change the mindset here in Papua New Guinea of all of us. Not only the men, but the women as well.
What excites me tonight is a vehicle, a tool for us to use to spread this message.
Those who have experience working on issues of violence in PNG, like Henny Meke, thinks that this is an excellent tool for advocacy.
Our leaders, particularly, talking about gender-based violence and their views and how they think that we can make a change, I think that's influential.
To help people, especially men, to understand and appreciate what women are like.
Senisim Pasin will be used in a campaign that will be rolled out next year. Part of the campaign is a call to action that asks that people make a promise by signing cards that marks their commitment to end violence in the country.
Hope Romeos and Papua New Guinea one day will create a Garden of Eden for all the women.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
The Media Council of Papua New Guinea is concerned about the government's plans to set up a media appeals tribunal. This comes after an announcement by Communications Minister Jimmy Miring Toro that the government plans to establish the tribunal to address what he described as deliberate misinformation, spreading of falsities and malice on social and mainstream media. But in a statement issued yesterday, the Media Council said the government was setting a dangerous precedent which could see politicians influence news content in PNG. The council warned that the establishment of the proposed tribunal would have an immediate effect on media freedom in Papua New Guinea and is calling for dialogue to ensure the media in the country played its role responsibly and transparently, rather than resorting to harsh laws such as the proposed tribunal. Writs for the Ijivitari Open by-elections were returned this morning to the Acting Governor-General, Theo Zurino, at the Government House. This follows the completion of the by-election, which saw ousted MP and PNC candidate David Aurora re-elected the member after the 19th exclusion round. Tekla Gunga reports.
The return of writs officially concludes the successful conduct of the court-ordered by-election in Northern Province. Giving an update on the overall polling and counting process, the Chief Electoral Commissioner says only 53% of the eligible voters participated in the by-election.
In this by-election, our statistics shows that only 31,152 of the total 58,000 eligible voters in Ijivitari exercised their democratic right to elect their member.
The by-election for Ijivitari Open was conducted after out-seated MP David Arore was found guilty on bribery claims during polling in the 2012 national general elections. Over 20 candidates contested the Ijivitari by-elections in November. After a week of counting, the National People's Congress candidate David Arore retained his seat after polling 700 votes above the absolute majority. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Electoral Commission has only 6 months remaining to conduct any more by-elections. Electoral Commissioner Patilius Gamato says Section 106 of the Constitution perverts the conduct of by-elections after the 5th anniversary of when the last national general writs were to be returned. He made these remarks when officiating at the return of writs for the Ijivitari by-election.
The Electoral Commissioner says 27 July 2012 was the date writs for the 2012 national general elections were written. Come 27 July 2016, it will be 5 years. And according to the Constitution, no by-elections can be conducted within these 12 months.
Section 106A of the Constitution states that the effect that there cannot be any by-election conducted within 12 months of reaching the date of the 5th anniversary when the last general election writs were to be returned.
The Electoral Commission has until July 2016 to conduct any more by-elections. This means if a member of parliament is deceased or dismissed by leadership tribunal, the seat will remain vacant until polling in 2017. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
And in the news to come, pioneers graduate in Kitabu, increasing enrollment for TVET in Kokopo, and EMTV goes to Yangaru in East Sepik. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Lake Kitabu Secondary School in Southern Highlands Province graduated its first grade 12s yesterday. Marked as a historical event for Kitabu, 76 grade 12 students successfully completed their secondary education despite countless problems faced by the school this year. Stanley Over Jr. with this report.
Situated on the fringes of the famous Lake Kitabu is Kitabu Secondary, a long-serving high school that was given secondary school status this year. The school was first established over 40 years ago as a high school when explorers first came to Kitabu in search for oil and gas. Unlike other schools in the Southern Highlands Province, Kitabu Secondary is a rural secondary school that takes in children from all corners of the Nipa Kitabu district and some from neighboring districts, including the Hela province.
It is not easy to run a school like Kitabu Secondary School. Me facing plenty talents.
The challenges, as head teacher by Irabo pointed out, are numerous. Out of the 35 teaching positions, only 20 teachers have been teaching this year. Other problems were teachers' accommodation. The government's TFF in particular did not bring justice to the school's annual budget as well.
Our students did not really enjoy what they should have deserved. We have housing problems. We have dormitory problems. But with perseverance, we have kept quiet and decided to take ownership of those problems and continue to struggle with whatever we had.
However, yesterday the school managed to pass out 76 of its first grade 12 students, marking history in Kitabu.
You are going to leave the legacy behind.
Kitabu LLG President John Kila, while encouraging the graduates, says the school couldn't have come this far without the support from major stakeholders in Kitabu. Kila thanked oil company Oilseeds Limited for their support, however challenged them to continue to support children from Kitabu who are currently studying in universities or will be going to tertiary institutions next year.
On behalf of people of Poi Faso, Nambi Plato na Poromaigo Peninsula, Mount Busabe, mi Plato, thank you, long says. This lang grade 12 or working maxim na ego 1920 goals and more short school fee bami nok lobis for you. Because all about short school fee all bagan pepe gam or pigini you business in ya this all online it doesn't buy current pepe gam long help school people.
The event also saw the 16th grade 10 graduation, with hundreds stand out to witness the ceremony. Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
Konge Primary School in Komba LLG of the Kabum district will be upgraded into a secondary school. The work continues into building a mess. Funds have dried up and the prospect of more has become slim. Head teacher Nemson Mageyu said the people have contributed money to build the secondary school. Bethany Harriman with this story from Kabum.
For remote parts of the Kabum district like Komba, the population of school-aged children is increasing. Komba has 8 primary schools, but after grade 8, students have virtually no place to go, an imbalance that puts more children out of classrooms and back into villages that are facing drought and food shortages. With the free education policy from the government, that means that more kids are going into primary school. And with 8 primary schools after students pass grade 8, they will be looking for spaces in secondary schools, only 2 of them that Kabum students go to. To deal with the problem, Konge Primary School is being built into Komba Secondary School.
So every year, people like this heavy come up. Old man make people Komba now, only giving pressure, or like him give pressure to member, only thinking mosem. People Komba yet, people must high school, people yet.
Head teacher Nemson Mangayu inspects the frames of a newly constructed mess hall. Money problems face the construction phase, and this is how far work has come to a halt. Despite the district authority granting 100,000 kina for the project, funding has dried up and the school needs help.
Long this 100,000, me play building. 1 4-in-1 classroom, 1 duplex, belong primary school, relocation of primary school, na 3 dormitory, na 1 mess hall belong high school now.
The school is not the only one experiencing money problems. It is like many other schools around the country that have not received enough government help. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Ley.
The Woolno Vocational Training Centre in East New Britain has announced that it will trim down its student enrolment for next year. Oliver Peru, the principal, says they are seeing a large influx of students every year with limited enrolment spaces and limited financial support. His comments comes at a time as the government introduced the TVET policy to cater to the large number of grades 8, 10 and 12 school leavers who cannot find a space in higher institutions.
Just a few kilometers outside of Kokopo town is the Woolno Vocational Training Centre run by the United Church. It is a vocational centre in East New Britain which caters to students who finished grade 8, 10 and 12 and couldn't secure space in higher institutions. In recent years, the centre began to accommodate the national government's TVET policy, a policy aimed to cater for school leavers that don't make it to higher institutions. While that was seen as a positive step taken by the government, the policy also brought with it challenges. The head of the training centre, Oliver Peru, says every year the number of students' enrollment grows and the enrollment space decreases. Over the years, the centre has concentrated on producing carpenters, welders, mechanics and plumbers every year to meet the growing demands of workforce in PNG's industrial boom. And about a week ago, the church-run training centre marked a formal send-off of its graduating students. 567 students graduated with a certificate in their respective trades. In 2016, the training centre is expected to enroll more students, but as it tries to absorb the large number of school leavers every year, it is also concerned about its enrollment opportunities, its rundown state of its school infrastructures, and the limited financial support coming from the government.
So now I plan to grade 10 to drop out the problem. I plan so long spaces. So long catering this long government must building more new plus schools, especially colleges, technical colleges, vocational centers, catering more on dropouts or common people.
Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Yangoro Sausia MP Richard Maru has blamed past leadership for the drop in education standards in the district. Mr. Maru says previous MPs have neglected to invest in education that has resulted in school infrastructures degrading and standards dropping. However, the district has now set education as a priority with the aim to be the best district in East Pacific.
Education standards in Yanguru Sausia has dropped from the top 5 positions in the post-independence era to the middle category at present. The decrease in standards has been blamed on poor leadership. Local MP Richard Maru says past leaders have failed to invest in the education sector, resulting in the drop and poor teachers' performance.
Because our leaders Pacific, over the last 40 years, only neglect and not vision and dream on education. It must go back to the leaders of this province.
But in the last 3 years, the district has spent 6 million kina from the District Services Improvement Program funds on education alone. Nearly all schools have received 4 new permanent classrooms and teachers' houses. Yesterday, during the grade 8 graduation at Munji Primary School, the MP opened a 4-in-1 double classroom.
So apart from the building program, people are putting more roads to go over the hub. I'm hoping that by the end of next year, every school in Yanguru Sausia will be connected by road.
The district has set criteria and standards for education. One of the requirements is for all new teachers graduating out of colleges and want to teach in the district must score a GPA of over 2.5%.
We plus setting to the district, nalugi mo sa one teacher we like come inside no district ko. Inside of district we nalugi mo sa almost scoring 2.5 GP. Nogat and nogat. And one by standard we setting because we not total quality.
With only 5,000 available space for grade 12 students in universities and colleges, the district is prioritizing education to make sure more of their students continue to higher learning institutions. Quinton Alom, National EMTV News.
Yangoro Sausia MP Richard Maru says people in his electorate will start receiving signals of PNG's favourite television station, MTV, starting next year. He says students in every school will be given the opportunity to watch educational programs on television. This is part of setting education standards in the district.
I'm happy to inform my people today, next Monday, Lokubala Station by DDA meets. We will approve 200,000. Mambla give him check lo MTV. Kambolo holik na put him mambla transmitter. Mambla give him education programs lo TV to all our schools by next year.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3350 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3275 US, $0.4495 Australian dollars, $0.2940 euro, and 39.52 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee, cocoa and copra closed higher, while gold closed the day lower, and palm oil and crude oil closed lower, while copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 78 points lower, the ASX closed at 28 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 27 points higher. Among stories after the break, Indonesian Ambassador says Papua New Guineans will be allowed to cross the border without visas. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching National EMTV News. The Indonesian Ambassador to Papua New Guinea, Ronald Manik, visited the Bahasa Indonesia Training Program students in Madang today. The ambassador announced that Papua New Guineans no longer have to have visas to cross over to Indonesia. Rachel Shise reports from Madang.
The ambassador was warmly welcomed by the Bahasa Indonesia Training Program students consisting of mostly public servants who spent 3 weeks learning the Indonesian language. Representing the Madang provincial government was the administrator, Daniel Aloy.
We believe that this initiative is very much a beginning of many of the activities that we are looking forward to have with your country, Ambassador. As I've said, I'm mindful of the protocol. Many of these things the national government has to sanction it. But it doesn't stop provincial governments at their level to exchange ideas, exchange activities with Indonesia.
The ambassador responded with the announcement that Papua New Guineans will no longer need visas to pass Indonesia's immigrations, be it via Bali, Jakarta or Vanimo.
Since September, Papua New Guinean is, if you want to visit Indonesia, you don't have to require a visa anymore. That's through immigration, just the video stamp, service passport and diplomatic visa. They have to still apply for you from the government representative. You have to apply, but for those who hold the ordinary passport, they don't have to apply for visa anymore.
The ambassador also mentioned that the embassy is happy to look into requests made by the students and the administrator today to make sure collaboration between the two countries are strengthened. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
A local taxi operator wants the ban imposed on the issuance of license to new taxis lifted. Managing Director for Taxi Service, Kenny Trans, blames the rise in illegal taxis on the ban. He says there is a need to professionalize the taxi service, but the conditions are not conducive.
Wek Kewa is one of the many taxi service operators in the city. He has over the years strived to lift the standard of taxi service, but like many operators, he is facing a stumbling block.
The operators, people are trying to bring him standard longer. Taxi, city people are trying to bring him command up.
For over 2 years, he has applied for license for his new fleet of taxis, but was denied on several occasions. He is not sure who to blame, but wants those responsible to clear the air.
Stop him on license. Now, why? Operators have rights to people. Right to operate taxi service in the city, they make more something, but why now only stop him the license?
While most professional taxi operators are complying with government requirements, illegal taxi operators are thriving at their expense. Kewa says such requirements as having a taxi meter is of no use.
But actually now people don't operate no meter yet. But government requirement now this meter price too go 1,750.
He says taxis have become a convenient mode of transportation in the city and requires the support from all stakeholders. Wek Kewa has a total of 42 fleets and drivers. He plans to increase the number, but that will all depend on the license ban. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
This morning, grieving relatives of the man shot on Monday marched from Lae's Bumbu settlement to Lae's Top Town police station to present a set of demands to the police. They are requesting that the police and the state be responsible for the repatriation of the deceased back to his village in the Southern Highlands province. While police have expressed that repatriation is not a police responsibility, it is likely that the matter will be sorted in an amicable manner. Investigations, meanwhile, are continuing. People from Morbe's Finschhafen district will travel by road to and from their villages in the future. For years, they have walked long distances over mountains to get to the nearest coastal seaport to travel by sea to the city. The district administration has added 2 excavators and 3 trucks to their existing fleet that will be used to construct the Lae-Finschhafen Road. Colin Barlai reports from Lae.
These people gathered yesterday at Lae's Bumayong area to witness the support provided by Finschhafen district for the construction of the Lae-Finschhafen Road. For the last 40 years, there have been no road services to parts of Finschhafen's inland areas, but today Finschhafen people are celebrating as there will be road services now. A Lae-Finschhafen road link stretching 42 kilometers has been under construction for 3 years now, but has not been fully completed. Since 2013, 2 building contractors that were hired for a 3-year contract have completed a portion of the 14 kilometers agreed in the Bill of Contract.
Contractors failing me, plenty time contractors failing me, for the past 10 or 15 years, contractors will failing me. That's why me talk to one speaker na me come on them slating and also any long Finchafen District Development Authority long by most of fleets here, which
Finchafen MP Theo Zureno has presented 5 road constructing equipment that will add to the rest of the fleet that the district had been providing to support the road's construction.
Also means that long road blow you million district, you may put him I think close to over 3-4 million kina or 5 million kina go along road something. This all machine something you may buy him, you know him tassel, this la D5 he got 2 pla, 1 pla long kote, 1 pla by walking goes along Burumquat, LG area.
Judith Mazu, a woman from Finchafen's Bromquat LLG, says her village is located in the highlands of the district and she walks long distances to the nearest coastal point to get on a boat to the city.
And misave making big hard work blongen, misa Kalapi Mountain, misave Abersim Barret, rain, sun, wara taitu, misa karim heavy plakago na misai gokam.
The Lae-Finchafen Road is jointly funded by the Moraba Provincial Government and the district. Now that road will solve the transport difficulties that villagers face when coming to Lae. The Moraba Provincial Government has spent almost 4.5 million kina with expectations of the 42-kilometer road to be complete in 3 years. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Lae.
And Truckies Sports is next. Talks of renowned NRL coach Wayne Bennett to take over from Meninga. I'll be back with those details.
Truckies Sports.
Welcome to Truckies Sports. Former PNG Kumuls and Queensland Maroons coach Mal Meninga has been named Australian Kangaroos' new coach. This leaves the coaching position of the PNG Kumuls vacant. There is also talk of master NRL coach Wayne Bennett playing a role in the Kumuls camp. Dion Kombeng reports.
Broncos coach Wayne Bennett has emerged as a possible replacement for Mal Meninga at the 2017 Rugby League World Cup as coach of the PNG Kumuls. In a move that would be bittersweet for the Kumuls following accusations Australia had poached their coaching mentor without consultation. PNG RFL CEO Bob Cutmore said the Kumuls job is yet to be discussed at the meeting next month. But
realistically, this is my own private view. It's not the board's view. I think we should be looking for a Papua New Guinean and then trying to get someone to mentor a Papua New Guinean if he needs mentoring.
Cutmore's preference for the role for the Pacific Test is PNG Hunters coach Michael Murrum, with Wayne Bennett to act as a mentor. Bennett performed a similar role for New Zealand's coach Stephen Kearney at the Rugby League World Cup in 2008. Bennett's brother Bob coached PNG from 1996 to 2005 and assisted for Murrum to spend time with the Broncos and learn from the champion coach. Cutmore said he spoke to the Bennett brothers on whether Wayne would be keen to mentor the Kumuls during the Pacific Test, but it depends on his commitments with the Broncos. Dion Kombeng, National EMTV Sports.
Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup CEO Timothy Lepa questioned the PNG Rugby Football League's role in recruiting Mal Meninga. Lepa said it was a breach of contractual guidelines that bind him as coach of the Kumuls. PNG RFL CEO Bob Cutmore said PNG RFL was not informed and it may have been that they overlooked his current contract with the Kumuls.
I'm very disappointed that he never had the courtesy to let the PNG Rugby League and the Kumul side and the Team Kumul people know that he had accepted the kangaroo position. We get an oversight, but to me, when we are his current employer and he's contracted to us, it should have been courtesy to let us know before he made the announcement.
Truckies Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Truckies Sports.
Welcome back to Truckies Sports. Now in football, it is expected to be another difficult round for fourth-placed FC Port Moresby as they prepare to meet Hekari United in the Telecom National Soccer League on Saturday, while in Lae, an undefeated Lae City dwellers will meet second-placed Besta FC. Jeremy Moggy reports.
Besta have been strong so far in the competition. Wins over Gorka Gosia and that strong 2-0 performance in round 1 over grand finalists Madang had seen them surge to second spot. Last weekend's loss to Welgris may not have helped, especially leading into this week's Lae City meet. However, the development side is showing good signs of improvement. For Lae City, a storming 7-0 demolition of Goroka was followed by a 1-0 win over Welgris and last week's a 0-0 draw against Admiralty. Surprising, since the club has the NSL's top scorers from last season. Lae are expected to win. Besta have yet to defeat them. Admiralty will take on Goroka, and judging by the recent improvement, are clear favourites over Gosia. Madang were victorious at home 2 weeks ago, and while Welgris are a single point ahead, the Laiwaran crowd has always been fiercely patriotic and will make the task difficult for Welgris, who take their first domestic trip in 2 years. Here in Port Moresby, Erema and Gigira will open round 4. Gigira had a lackluster 1-0 performance against Huawei PS, the match dominated by missed passes and poor shots on target. Erema have had only a single win, but their composure has improved, and the learned experiences will see this match go down to the wire. PK Rapatono will face Huawei PS, and while they were humbled against FC Port Moresby last weekend, they showed glimpses of brilliance, especially coming from a young side. The match between Hekari and FC Port Moresby is expected to be the highlight of round 4. Both sides have a more aesthetic approach to modern football, and again, this will be a tactical battle. However, Hekari are still considered the pick of the bunch. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
2015 has highlighted the significance in sporting development programs like the recently introduced and established High Performance Division and the Sports Enhancement Program. This week, Minister for Sports Justin Chechenko and PNG Sports Foundation's Executive Director Peter Chamalili Jr. announced their plans in moving forward with the development of sports in Papua New Guinea for the years to come.
Performance Centre is something that this PNG Sports Foundation utilises.
Minister for Sports and 2015 Pacific Games Justin Chechenko has been a vocalist for sports development in Papua New Guinea, not just for the year of 2015 but beyond. With the Sports Ministry's support of the PNG Olympic Committee and PNG Sports Foundation to establish and implement development and enhancement programs, success within the sports industry has been on an incline.
Not just stopping at the Pacific Games, we are continuing in the years to come. But with that, the government will sponsor and continue to sponsor the maintenance and maintaining these infrastructure developments, as well as the High Performance Centre for the next 5 years.
The success from the 2015 Pacific Games, however, is something Papua New Guineans would like to see continue beyond 2016. What the PNG Sports Foundation aims to do is continue building athletes to events higher and beyond the Pacific Games.
We'll continue to enhance the performance of the athletes coming and using this facility. The government has committed to ensuring that as a lasting legacy for the high performance and for what it had done for the result that we achieved in 2015 Pacific Games, was that they were going to ensure that we have a proper home for the high performance.
At the handover of the HPTC earlier this week, Chamalili said more construction work will take place to support the sporting enhancement programs for Team PNG athletes.
As a lasting legacy for the high performance and for what it had done for the result that we achieved in 2015 Pacific Games, was that they were going to ensure that we have a proper home for the high performance. And the commitment by the Prime Minister, and now with the leadership of our Minister, Honourable Justin Chechenko, his lasting legacy will be to ensure that in 2016 we will build a state-of-the-art high-performance centre which will be based over at Sir John Guy Stadium.
That ends Truckies Sports. You're the details up next. Stay with us.
Truckies Sports. Truckies Sports.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. All centres in the southern region expecting fine weather. And in the Momasa region, mostly fine in all centres. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe, cloudy in Kavieng and brief showers for Buka. And mostly fine in all centres in the Highlands region. And now recapping our top stories for tonight. West Papuans renew calls for citizenship on Human Rights Day. Electoral Commission has 6 months left to conduct by-elections. And Indonesian Ambassador says no visas needed to enter the country. That's been National EMTV News. I'm Lorraine Genia. On behalf of the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.